Hello and welcome to Leader Insights on the Go. Here is our space for powerful ideas delivered in just minutes to elevate our leadership. Now, today's critical topic is going to be psychological safety and the erosion of trust. Whether you're leading a team of 3 or 300, if people do not feel safe to speak up, ask questions, or make mistakes, performance will suffer and you will have low morale. Now, what is psychological safety and trust? Well, psychological safety means that your employees and people around you, and this could be applied in any setting in your life, but it really means that people are allowed to be who they are. They can show up as themselves. They feel confident, and they show up without fear of being humiliated, rejected, or even retaliated against. When that safety is missing, trust deteriorates. People are disengaged. And guess what? Innovation doesn't happen. Silence becomes the norm. How do leaders contribute to the toxic work environment? And that's a really good question, and one that we should always think about. What are our contributions? Let me give you an example. A team member hesitates to share a new idea. The manager all of a sudden rolls their eyes and says, "We already tried that." The room goes silent. Dismissing behavior, even the small things like tone, body language, sarcastic comments, can really shut people down. So it's really up to you and us when we are engaging our people. It's really important that supervisors constantly check themselves as they're having conversations or they're in meetings where it is for a session of brainstorming or just really engaging people in an authentic way where they can just show up without having the fear of some sort of minor reaction that might really create a shutdown for that person. Remember, you don't know who they are, where they've been, and what other negative experiences they've had to overcome. So do not become a part of that environment where all of a sudden you have employees that are completely disengaged because you're having small reactions that you may not think are that serious, but actually do have an impact. Now let's go to another example. A supervisor consistently checks emails during one-on-ones. Team members stop bringing issues forward. All right, so this is a good one. And this is not just about checking the emails. This is about checking your emails, your phones. Maybe you don't close your door, and so there's constant interruptions, right? Being present in a one-on-one conversation with one of your people not only builds trust, but gives you an opportunity to build meaningful relationship. When you are constantly interrupting or disengaging, which really it's an act of disengagement when you're not 1,000% present with that person. Unfortunately, that person will be completely disconnected and they will shut down. So really important that we need to not neglect our people. So neglect, inconsistencies, and micromanagement also erode trust. So people begin to feel unseen, unheard, and unsupported. So what is the result of all of this? Well, the result is increased turnover, passive or quiet quitting. People will leave you. Lack of collaboration, missed innovation and risk avoidance, and low morale. How do we rebuild trust and psychological safety? Starting today, what are the things that you can implement? So here's the good news. You can turn it around quickly and intentionally. And here's how. Number 1, acknowledge and own the current climate. Be honest about what it is that it's happening in your current environment. And I know that it is hard to admit that we as leaders might have made a mistake, but it is important. So say something like, I realize that we have not had moments where it felt safe to speak up. That's on me. I want to create a space where your ideas matter and your concerns are heard. Now, why it works? Well, authentically building trust. People don't accept perfection. They actually prefer honesty. So when you actually acknowledge that there there's a big elephant in the room and you're able to authentically speak to that, people are more open to receiving it. Number two, invite voices and feedback and actually use it. So hold regular team reflection meetings where everyone is able to share what's working and what's not working. Now, caveat here is you do that without blame. Use their insights to shape process and priorities. When people see their input to drive change, safety and ownership actually increases. So make sure that you're using the things that people are sharing with you in this new open space that you're providing. Number three, model vulnerability. Share your own mistakes. You can really impact how people feel in a space where even those that are leading are vulnerable enough. Share your mistakes. You can talk about something that you rushed into last week and you couldn't finish something on time, right? So learning to speak about your mistake and then how you've changed it or fixed it, right? And being honest about what you're learning in the process. Vulnerability from leaders gives other people permission to be real and to humanize yourself as a leader. So you want to be human. You're not a robot. You're not perfect. You're going to make mistakes, and people need to know that. Number four, recognize and reward constructive risk taking. Part of being able in an environment where you feel like you can build trust and you can build a sense of psychological safety is by allowing people to take risks without retaliation. So call out when someone shares a tough truth in a meeting or suggests a bold new idea. Even if it's not implemented, it doesn't matter. What it matters is that you are actually recognizing that people are taking risks and participating. Recognition reinforces that speaking up is safe and valuable. What you should do in your daily practice to reinforce building trust and psychological safety. Well, as you know, building trust is a journey. Psychological safety, it's also a process that has to happen consistently. So one of the things that you should do is be consistent. Be consistent with your people. Show them that you care. Show them that you listen. And show them that you are able to follow through. You can, in fact, be a part of that transformative place and space where you begin to become an intentional leader. So what I think it's important here is, and maybe a few takeaways for you this week, is try a couple of things. One, and this will be your call to action. Ask your team, what's one thing we can improve together? Two, start a meeting with a moment of appreciation. Three, reflect. Is my team comfortable disagreeing with me? Because leadership isn't just about driving performance, it's about creating the conditions where people want to perform. And I'm going to say that again. I think it's really important that you hear this. And I think for me too, I almost need to hear this again because, again, leadership is not only about driving performance. And while that's important, it's not the only thing. It's about creating the conditions where people want to perform. And that is, in essence, the job of a leader. So I want to thank you for taking the time, listening, and joining our Insights on the Go. For more tools on leadership, engagement, and growth, make sure that you subscribe and share this with those people in your professional environments, your friends that want to, in fact, continue to lead with purpose and intentionality.